Hello, and welcome to the Irish Memory Box, brought to you by Irish Community Services. ICS is an immigration and social services provider located in Chicago. The Irish Memory Box fosters a more vibrant sense of community by connecting people of Irish heritage from different generations. It is a new way for Irish generations to communicate and learn from each other. Hello, and welcome to the Irish Memory Box. How are you today, Father Mick?
I'm very well. Had a busy day here in the office. Just to let everybody know, I'm with St. Patrick's Missionary Society. So my name is Fr Mick Madigan. I'm known as Mick, and I'm a member of St. Patrick's Missionary Society. We're mostly Irish, and we work in Africa and South America and in the Caribbean, mostly in Africa. So I spent 25 years in different parts of Africa before coming to Chicago. So I'm very happy to be on this podcast here with Everleigh and Grace and anyone else that is listening to us. It's a great idea. And especially in these difficult times with this pandemic, it's so hard to connect with people. So I'm looking forward to the questions that Everleigh has for me. I hope there's no trick questions. And I hope I can answer them. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. It's a lovely idea.
Thank you, Father Mick. And Everleigh, would you mind introducing yourself to the people who are listening?
Yeah, my name is Everleigh Murphy. I'm 8 years old. And a couple things about myself is I really like to dance and sing and act and make art. I have curly red hair and I really like playing Irish tunes on my fiddle.
So Everleigh, whenever you're ready, you can ask your first question.
Okay, so my first question is, where were you born?
I was born in a place called Limerick City, which is in the southwest coast of Ireland.
And where have you lived in the world?
Well, I lived and worked in Ireland, of course, till I got ordained as a priest. And because I belong to a missionary society, I was sent to work in Africa. That was in 1987. And I went to Zambia, which is in Central Africa, in a very remote region, for 4 years. And then I came back to Ireland for 2 years. And then I went to live in Nigeria and West Africa in the city of Lagos, where Grace's family comes from.
Yep.
So I had 9 lovely years in Lagos in different parishes. And then I came here to the United States, to Boston, to study for 2 years. And then I went back to work in South Africa for another 7 years. And then I was sent here to work. And I came here on the 1st of August in 2012. So I'm 8 years here now in Chicago, and I love it.
Second question.
Mm-hmm.
What did you like best growing up in Ireland?
Where I grew up in the city of Limerick, I lived on a big housing estate. And there was a lot of boys and girls my own age. So we had, every area had its own gang. And certainly in the summer, we used to spend a lot after breakfast. Where our housing estate was, it was near the countryside as well. So we'd be out all day climbing trees and jumping streams and playing football. And it was lovely. It was very carefree when the weather was good. When the weather was bad, it wasn't so great because you were stuck at home. So I liked school. I went to the Christian Brothers School, but my best memories have been with my friends during the summer holidays and all the things we got up to, playing games, playing pranks on our neighbours and everything. So they're my fondest memories.
That sounds really fun. And what was your favorite meal when you were a kid?
Oh gosh, it changed. But my favorite meal was, we had a thing called fish fingers. Did you ever hear of them? So they were bird's eye no, they weren't actual fingers, but they were fish pieces that were made. They were about 4 inches long.
I think they're kind of like fish sticks.
Fish sticks. And we'd have, well, what you would call French fries, we used to call chips and beans and sausages. So when I was young, I used to like that kind of food. But then as I got older, it changed a bit.
Did you hear a lot of Irish music growing up? And what's your favorite tune?
Yeah, there was a lot of music, say, on the radio and the television. I had a broad interest in music, pop music. I always liked Irish music and folk music. Oh gosh, my favorite tune. Oh God, there's so many of them. There's a tune that on the tin whistle called The Lonesome Boatman. Did you ever hear it? Yeah, I'm sure you'll come across it. And then there was another, there was a couple of other Irish tunes that I liked as well, but that was one I really loved. And different groups at that time, folk groups. But that was one of my favourite tunes.
Do you play any instruments, Father Mick?
Do you know, I have a very good musical ear, but there's a thing called the recorder. It's like a flute. Remember that? Mm-hmm. My father used to play it, so he taught me music. And so I was a student in Kiltegan studying for the priesthood when I took it up. So I used to play for my own amusement. But that was years ago. I think my fingers are too stiff now. But I love music. I love Irish music. I always have.
The next question is, what year did you become a priest, and how did you realize that was what you wanted to do?
Oh God, that's a big question. I got ordained in 1987 on June the 13th. When I left school, I was working for about 8 years at different jobs, but I suppose back then my family were very involved in the church as I was, and so God was and has always been very important to me. It doesn't mean that I was a holy Joe all the time, but you know, when you're young, you do different things. But I think as I got into my 20s, as I say, God was important, and I was always attracted to the idea of becoming a priest. And so after a number of years working, I decided the desire to be a priest was getting stronger. So I said, I better do something about this. And I did, and I applied to the society I belonged to, and they accepted me, and so it went on from there.
Cool. So my next question is, what was a very special experience or an experience you really liked that you have had in your life?
Experience. Well, getting ordained a priest was a very special day for me. I got ordained in our own society house, but all my family were at it and some invited friends. So it's probably a special day for me, a priest, the same way the wedding day for your mom and dad were very special as well, you know. It's a big choice in life, and you're going to live that way for the rest of your life. So that was a very, very special experience. Different experiences in Africa, in the places where I worked and with the people with whom I worked. Working with people was always a very moving and special experience with people too. But I think my ordination stands out as a very important. And I have a younger brother, he's 5 years younger than me. So I married him. I did his wedding and my sister-in-law. So that was another very special family time as well.
My next question is, what's a really cool place I should visit when I get to take a trip to Ireland?
Well, of course, you know, we all love where we came from, but God, there's lots of places. I would encourage you to go to different, because Ireland, like America, is very different in different parts of the country. So if you have the opportunity, pick maybe 3 or 4 places to go to. Dublin City is lovely. There's a lot of history and there. The west coast, like Donegal, Galway, that part of the country is lovely too, you know. The north of Ireland, Belfast. Have you heard of Belfast City in the north?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's great history there as well. Did you ever hear of the ship, the Titanic, that sank? Would you have heard that story?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in Belfast, they have a fantastic museum that tells the whole story because it was built in Belfast, the ship. And up on the coast from there is a thing called the Giant Causeway. There's a rock formation. So pick a couple of places. What part of Ireland does your father come from, do you know?
Limerick, I think, maybe?
Oh, the same place as me. Oh, but that's why. Well, you definitely have to visit Limerick. Wherever your family come from, you have to say hello to those people there. Isn't it true?
Okay.
Okay, right, so Everleigh.
What kind of games did you play growing up in Ireland?
I played Gaelic football and hurling and soccer. And because Limerick is built on a big river called the Shannon River, I did a lot of rowing. You know, rowing on the river competitively. So they were my sports that I played. And I'm a big fan of rugby. Do you know the game of rugby? No, you probably don't. It doesn't matter. But they're the games I played.
My last question is, how can an American kid experience Irish culture in this country?
Well, it seems you're doing a very good job at that already yourself, with your love of Irish music and playing it, being connected to the Irish Community Service, and the other young people you'll meet in that. You have your own family, of course, who have a very strong connection to Ireland, and to talk to your father and about his family and where they come from. You can do it through reading. Are you on the internet? Do you go on the internet?
Yeah.
So you'll find lots of really wonderful articles about Ireland today and the history. So they're the different ways in which you can keep your interest and develop that interest in Ireland.
Thank you, Everleigh. That was awesome. You got some really great questions. So before we finish up, I just want to ask Father Mick if you have any words of wisdom for the Irish community here.
Well, I suppose in the context of what we're going through this past year, it's been a very difficult year with the pandemic and now with the election that we're just going through as well. So a lot of these, they can create maybe a certain anxiety and fear, but there are also opportunities that invite us to move out beyond ourselves because of the need that is there for support and for friendship. And so when opportunities do arise, particularly in your own neighborhood, maybe Everleigh with your family, there might be, say, senior people living on their own. And this is a very difficult time for them because they're not able to go out and socialize as much. So to be aware of those and to find different ways of connecting. And I think as the country transitions politically, there's been a lot of acrimony and division. But each of us in our own way can bring a kind of a healing to that. By not responding immediately maybe to negative things, but both sides, both parties, everybody has something to offer if we're prepared to listen to each other and try and understand each other. I would also say, I'm 8 years here and there's a wonderful diversity of people. Like you have an Irish background, but you're also American, so you live in two cultures, and that's wonderful. That's a great gift and a great thing to experience, that you have this rich Irish culture and yet you have your own culture as American. But even out beyond that, we have Latinos and Hispanics and we have the African American community. There's such a wonderful diversity of people that make up the country that is America. And we can approach that two ways. We can be afraid of it and be negative, or we can see it as a gift. where we mix with people who are very different from us, and in sharing with them, we can learn so much about the differences that there and the richness that's there, and we can share what it's like from ourselves, and we can help that way to overcome the fear and often maybe the ignorance and the prejudice that's out there. So that would be my advice. But we have great opportunities in life.
Awesome. Okay, well, Everleigh, is there anything else you would like to say before you go? Do you have any advice for people?
Not really. I just during these times kind of just think happy thoughts and smile.
So that brings us to the end of this episode. If you would like to capture Irish memories, please email me, grace@irishchicago.org. If you know someone with a story or two, let me know. The Irish Memory Box is yours.
All right. Well, thank you.